Peace be with you, son, daughter. I am here with you now, closer than you imagine. I want you to listen to me as you would listen to a friend who knows your heart completely. There are moments along the journey when what once brought comfort slowly begins to lose its shine. The same routines, the same environments, the same conversations, even goals that once set your heart on fire, now feel too tight. Not because they were wrong, but because they no longer fit who you are becoming. I see when you try to keep going as usual, but something inside you sighs in silence. You wake up, carry out your tasks, talk to people, yet there is a tightness, as if your soul were saying, there is more. And then doubt comes, fear comes, and the question arises, am I being ungrateful? Am I losing my faith? Do not be afraid. There is no condemnation in this. There is growth. When the Father called Abraham and said, "Leave your land," he was not rejecting the past or despising the story built there. He was announcing a greater future. The discomfort was not a sign of error. It was a sign of transition. The old place had fulfilled its role, but it could not sustain the next level. So it is with you. When what once fed you now feels shallow, when even spiritual words sound repetitive, this is not spiritual coldness. Many times, it is the Holy Spirit creating a deeper hunger within you. He does not take away out of cruelty. He expands out of love. I know human beings like stability. They like to know where they stand, to repeat what once worked. But the kingdom does not grow through empty repetition. It grows through living obedience. And every living obedience begins when you realize you can no longer remain the same on the inside. When I wrote, "I press on toward the goal," I was revealing an eternal principle. The goal is never behind you. There are things that cannot be taken to the next level, not because they are sins, but because they are too small for what is coming. There are seasons that were a blessing but become prisons when we insist on staying in them. Perhaps today you are trying to relive old feelings, old methods, old experiences with God, and that only increases the emptiness. Because what I have for you is not a copy of what is past. It is something new, aligned with who you are now. Listen carefully. When your soul begins to feel suffocated, it is not because I have moved away. It is because I am calling you closer, deeper, truer. The discomfort is instructional. It pushes you out of the shallow and invites you to dive. I know this creates anxiety. Anxiety is born when the heart senses change, but the mind does not yet understand the path. That is why I tell you, remain in me. Do not try to fill this emptiness with distractions, excessive noise, comparisons, or constant busyness. Silence at times is where the next step begins to take shape. When everything feels too small, it is because your vision is being expanded. When the old no longer satisfies, it is because something greater is being prepared. Do not dismiss this sign. Do not fight it. Learn to listen to it. Today, I want to invite you to something simple yet profound. Notice what no longer fills you as it once did, and bring it to the Father without guilt, without masks. Simply say, "Show me where I am going." Do not force immediate answers. Trust the process. The seed does not see the tree, but it feels the pressure of the soil before it grows. I am with you at this beginning. I do not leave you confused without direction. Every step is cared for. Every transition is accompanied. Love is the path, and it always leads to forward movement. Peace be with you, son, daughter. I am still here, walking with you, unhurried, attentive. I want to speak now about what many feel, but few understand. When restlessness arrives, the human heart tends to look backward. You try to retrace old paths, revive methods that once worked, rebuild scenes that have already passed. This is natural. The past feels safe because it has already been lived. But let me tell you in love, not everything that was good continues to be the Father's will for today. When the old no longer sustains you, the answer is not to go back. It is to move forward. I see when you try to reproduce what once brought you spiritual joy, the same practices, the same words, the same formats. But the kingdom does not function like a photograph. It is movement. It is life. Yesterday's manna does not feed today. Hoarding it creates weight, not nourishment. That is why the Father said, "This is the way, walk in it." Notice, he did not say, "This was the way." The Spirit always points forward. When you trust more in what you already know than in what he is revealing now, you protect yourself from risk, but you also distance yourself from growth. Many live frustrated because they insist on keeping alive a season that has already fulfilled its purpose. And the more they try to relive the past, the more restlessness grows. Not because I am absent, but because I am leading you into something new. I never call you into the new without sustaining you through the process. The issue is that the new requires trust. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. When understanding fails, faith must take the wheel. Moving forward does not always seem logical. Sometimes moving forward means letting go of something that is not yet bad, but is no longer aligned. It means asking different questions, not, "How do I feel what I felt before?" but, "God, what are you preparing me for now?" I know this brings fear. The unknown is unsettling. The mind wants guarantees, complete maps, detailed explanations. But faith is born when you choose to take the next step, even without seeing the entire staircase. Abraham left without knowing where he was going, but he knew with whom he was walking. Do not turn restlessness into nostalgia. Turn it into prayer. Instead of saying how good it was before, say, "Show me what you are building in me now." The past can be a reference, but it must never be a residence. Today, many are emotionally, spiritually, and even professionally stuck because they are afraid to move forward. Moving forward means taking responsibility, maturing, no longer being led only by feelings. But it is in this place that true peace begins to form. I want to propose something simple for today. When you feel the urge to go back, pause and ask the Father what the next step is, not the old one. Write it down. Pray over it. You do not need to rush. Just do not retreat. And now, let me ask you something gently. If this word is speaking to you, write in the comments what has most unsettled your heart in this season, not for exposure, but as an act of surrender. When you name it, I take care of it. I walk with you in the advance. I do not call you into confusion, but into direction. Love is the path, even when it leads you beyond what is familiar. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, stay with me a little longer. I know this point touches deeply. There are seasons when you notice that some people drift away without a clear explanation. Invitations decrease. Conversations that once flowed now stop. Places where you were remembered fall silent. And within you, the painful question arises, what did I do wrong? Listen to me with attention and rest. Not every distance is rejection. Many are preparation. I saw this happen with Joseph. He was not isolated because he was weak, but because he carried a calling too great to remain in the same environment. Before the government came the pit. Before the palace came solitude. Not because I abandoned him, but because I needed to form him on the inside. Isolation hurts because human beings were created for relationship. I know this. I felt it myself. Many times I withdrew to lonely places, not out of contempt for people, but because I needed to hear the Father without noise. There are voices you can only hear when the noise dies down. When I begin to lead you to a new level, not everyone can come along. Not out of malice, not necessarily out of envy, but out of limitation. Some people belong to seasons, not to the entire journey, and insisting on carrying them with you can delay what I am building. I know solitude can generate sadness, anxiety, and even a sense of abandonment. But let me reveal something to you with tenderness. When I allow isolation, I draw even closer. The desert is never empty when I am present. Isolation reveals what crowds hide. It exposes dependence, character, motivations. It is where you discover whether your faith rests in people, applause, results, or in me. And that discovery, though painful, is freeing. Do not waste energy trying to maintain connections that I am allowing to loosen. Do not force social, emotional, or spiritual doors that have closed. Rest. The Father is not diminishing you. He is refining you. Today, many fight isolation by staying excessively busy, overly distracted, constantly exposed. But there are processes that only mature in silence. Gold does not choose the fire, but it is in the fire that it becomes pure. I want to invite you to something simple today. Instead of complaining about absences, use this time to listen to me. Talk to me about your fears, your insecurities, your dreams. Unhurried, unmasked. I am not afraid of what you feel. Remember, isolation is not punishment. It is a preparation room, a workshop of character, a place where I remove emotional crutches to teach you to walk steadily. I am here. I did not leave you. I do not leave you. Love is the path, even when it passes through silence. Peace be with you. Son's daughter, I receive you exactly where you are right now. I want you to hear this part with an open heart, because many suffer here unnecessarily. When isolation comes, the human soul resists. You try to return to the noise, to familiar voices, to what once made you feel you belonged, and the more you resist, the more exhausted you become. But I tell you in love, do not fight the desert when I am the one leading you into it. The desert is not the absence of care. It is an environment of revelation. When the Father said, I will allure her and lead her into the desert, he was not speaking of punishment, but of intimacy. There are words that cannot be spoken amid noise. There are healings that do not happen before an audience. There are deep changes that are born only when you have nowhere else to run, but to me. I know solitude amplifies thoughts, fears grow louder, doubts seem bigger. But it is also in this space that your spiritual sensitivity increases. When external noise fades, you begin to notice things you once overlooked. Intentions of the heart, repeated patterns, hidden dependencies. That is why I said, be still and know that I am God. Stillness is not quitting, it is trusting. It is not passivity, it is surrender. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. Alone is circumstance, lonely is the absence of presence. And in the desert, I make myself present. Do not call rejection what is actually redirection. Not every place where you were applauded is a place where you will grow. Not every companionship that comforts you can sustain you at the next level. I separate you to reveal to you, not to wound you. Today many fear silence because it offers no distractions. But it is in silence that I heal old wounds, correct distorted visions, and teach you to hear my voice without intermediaries. It is there that you stop depending on approval and learn to depend on truth. If you are in a season of withdrawal, do not waste it trying to fill it with excess stimulation. Use this time to align your heart. Ask less, when will this end? And more, what do you want to show me here? I want to suggest something simple today. Choose a moment in your day to be with me without requests, just presence. Turn off what distracts you. Breathe. And if tears come, let them come. I speak through them as well. And now, gently, I extend an invitation. If this word has reached you and brought you peace, comment, Amen. Not out of obligation, but as a simple gesture of trust and love for God. I do not isolate you to lose you. I set you apart to strengthen you. Love is the path even when it leads through the desert. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, draw a little closer. I want to speak with you about something very intimate. There is a quiet sign of spiritual growth that few notice but that I see clearly when your prayers begin to change, not in the number of words, but in the depth of the heart. Before you prayed asking for relief. Now you pray asking for transformation. Before you sought quick answers. Now you seek truth. This does not happen by accident. At the beginning of the journey, it is natural for the heart to ask for comfort. The Father welcomes those prayers. I myself taught you to ask for daily bread, but when the calling grows, prayer matures. You realize that changing circumstances is not enough if the inside remains the same. I observe when you no longer pray only for the problem to go away, but for you to be shaped within it, when you no longer ask only for open doors, but for discernment to choose the right door. When your prayer stops being centered solely on what bothers you and begins to touch who you are becoming. When I wrote, "I want to know Christ," I was not speaking of information, but of deep communion. To know is to experience. It is to allow me to reveal hidden areas, confused motivations, old wounds, and that requires courage. That is why not everyone comes this far. There comes a moment when you stop asking only for outward peace and begin asking for character. You ask for holiness, wisdom, self-control, spiritual sensitivity. You ask me to search your heart, not to accuse you, but to align you. This prayer is not born of guilt. It is born of maturity. I know that sometimes this kind of prayer can be frightening, because those who ask to be searched know that change will come. And change is rarely comfortable, but it is freeing. I do not reveal to shame. I reveal to heal. What comes into the light loses the power to dominate you. When your prayer matures, you also begin to intercede more. Your inner world expands. You stop looking only at your own pain and begin to carry people, situations, injustices, families, cities. This is a sign that your heart is becoming more like mine. Many think that spiritual growth means feeling less pain. It does not. It means knowing what to do with it. It means not running from yourself. It means allowing me to transform reactions into responses, impulses into discernment, wounds into sources of mercy. Perhaps today you notice that your prayers are quieter, deeper, even more honest. Fewer rehearsed phrases, more raw truth. Rejoice. This is the fruit of the Spirit working in you. I prefer a simple, honest prayer over many words without surrender. I want to leave you with something to live out today. When you pray, ask me not only what I can do for you, but what I desire to form in you in this season. Listen without rushing. Write it down if you need to. And trust this: I never transform someone without first sustaining them. I delight when a child asks to be shaped. That shows trust, not fear. And where there is trust, I work freely. I continue with you in this process of maturing. I do not rush you, but I also do not leave you shallow. Love is the path, and it always leads to truth. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, sit with me a little longer. I want to guard your understanding, because when the mind rests, the heart also finds peace. Many of my children get lost, not because they lack faith, but because they interpret the journey only by what they feel. When they feel joy, they believe they're right in the center of the Father's will. When they feel discomfort, pressure, or exhaustion, they quickly conclude they've chosen the wrong path. But let me teach you something essential. The kingdom is not ruled by feelings, but by eternal principles. There are appointed seasons for everything under heaven. Growth rarely arrives wrapped in immediate comfort. Most of the time it comes disguised as discomfort, waiting, inner adjustments. That does not mean God is absent, but that He is actively at work where the eyes cannot see. The Father doesn't promote anyone because of emotional excitement. He elevates by maturity. He watches how you act when no one is watching, how you respond when you aren't recognized, how you remain steady when there's no applause. Feelings rise and fall, but character sustains a calling. When I wrote that tribulation is light and momentary, I wasn't minimizing pain. I was revealing the right perspective. It is momentary because it does not define your destiny. It is light when compared to the weight of glory being formed in you. The problem is that many give up before they perceive what is being built. Look closely at the scriptures. Whenever the Father is about to do something new, He first moves in the unseen. Before the sea opened, there was obedience. Before the promise was fulfilled, there was waiting. Before exaltation, there was voluntary humility. Moses wasn't prepared in the palace but in the wilderness. David wasn't shaped on the throne but in obscurity. Paul didn't begin by preaching to crowds, but by being broken, confronted, and made dependent. None of them were elevated because they felt good things, but because they remained faithful to the standards of the kingdom. You are not lost because you feel uncomfortable. You are being aligned. The Father uses discomfort to remove excess, correct direction, deepen roots. What is shallow cannot carry weight, and what He entrusts carries weight. Today, many abandon processes because they don't feel good. But faith is not always feeling. It is trusting even when you don't understand. There are days when you obey without enthusiasm, but with faithfulness. And that holds enormous value before heaven. I want to offer you something simple to live today. When discomfort comes, don't reject it immediately. Ask, what is being formed in me here? The feeling passes, the learning remains, and what is formed in you, no one can take away. I do not lead you into confusion. Even when the road feels unfamiliar, the standards remain clear. The Father works first in the depths, then reveals it in the visible. Rest in that. Love is the way, even when it teaches you to stand firm without immediate feelings of safety. Peace be with you. Son, daughter. I know this touches battles you can't always explain with words. There are seasons when everything feels intensified. Thoughts that used to pass quickly now linger. The peace that once felt natural now must be defended. Small situations become heavy pressures. The body grows tired, the mind races, and the heart asks, why all of this right now? Listen closely and rest in me. Not every battle is a sign you did something wrong. Many battles are a sign you're moving forward. When the Father decides to expand your spiritual influence, resistance rises too. That doesn't happen because you're walking backward, but because you're leaving neutrality. The kingdom of darkness doesn't react to those who remain still. It reacts to those who advance in light, truth, and authority. Your fight is not against people, not against isolated circumstances. There is an unseen realm where spiritual decisions produce spiritual reactions. That is why, many times, you can't rationally explain the weight you feel. It isn't only natural, it is spiritual. Daniel experienced this. When his authority increased, conspiracies rose. Not because he failed, but because his faithfulness exposed hidden structures. The war didn't begin when he sinned. It began when he stood firm. I see when attacks come in the mind, trying to create confusion, guilt, or fear. I see when peace is challenged, when sensitive areas like finances, health, or relationships seem pressured all at once. The goal is not only to wound, but to wear you down to the point where you quit, question your identity, or doubt your calling. So I teach you something essential. Don't fight the wrong way. Don't personalize spiritual attacks. Don't turn warfare into resentment. Don't waste energy trying to justify yourself to everyone. Your strength is not in reaction, but in remaining. When you understand the battle is spiritual, your posture changes. You pray more than you explain. You trust more than you defend yourself. You stay quiet when your impulse is to react. That is not weakness, it is spiritual maturity. Many are exhausted today because they are fighting on the wrong level. They try to win spiritual battles with human arguments. That only produces weariness, frustration, and loss of focus. The enemy doesn't have to knock you down. He only needs to distract you. I want to leave you something simple to practice today. When pressure rises, don't make immediate decisions. Pause, breathe, pray. Remember who you are in me. Declare the truth, even if your feelings say otherwise. Peace is not the absence of war. It is the certainty that I am with you in it. I did not call you into a battlefield without covering. I go before you. I sustain you. I strengthen you. No fight that reaches you is greater than the grace that surrounds you. Do not fear the war. Learn from it. It reveals strength, discernment, and dependence you didn't know you carried. Love is the way, even when it teaches you to stand firm under pressure. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, I remain here with you, even when the path feels too narrow for your tired feet. I want you to listen to this deeply, because many get lost right here. There are moments when everything around you seems to contradict the promises. Doors you believed were the right ones close. People who seemed part of your future drift away. Well-structured plans simply won't move forward. And then the heart asks, almost in a whisper, where did I go wrong? I answer you gently. Not everything that hurts is correction. Not every resistance is a sign of disapproval. Many times, what looks like opposition is exactly the process of promotion in the kingdom. When the Father says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing," He isn't speaking only of something different. He is speaking of something higher. But for the new to be established, the old must lose its grip. And that almost never happens without discomfort. The new requires space, and space only appears when something is removed. I know the human mind tries to interpret everything immediately. If something flows, you assume it's approval. If something gets stuck, you assume it's rejection. But the kingdom doesn't operate by that simple logic. Many times, I close doors precisely because I know what's behind them in the future. What feels like frustration today may be quiet protection. I see when you feel treated unfairly, when it seems you're doing everything right and still meeting resistance. This happened to many before you. Joseph was betrayed before he governed. David was pursued before he reigned. Paul was blocked on certain paths so he could be directed to greater ones. Promotion in the kingdom doesn't come with instant comfort. It comes with inner strengthening. The Father doesn't elevate you only to honor you, but to entrust you with responsibility. And responsibility requires emotional, spiritual, and moral structure. That is why, before placing you in higher places, He works deeply in your roots. If you rise without roots, any wind can knock you down. But when you are strengthened in the unseen, no opposition can destroy you in the visible. I know waiting is tiring. I know opposition hurts. I know the silence of unanswered questions can create anxiety. But remember, all things work together for the good of those who love God. Even closed doors, even delays, even disappointments. Don't call failure what is still being formed. Don't conclude too soon. Some processes only make sense when you look back from the other side. Until then, trust. The Father never wastes pain. He transforms it. Today, I want to invite you into something simple but life-changing. When something doesn't happen the way you expected, trade complaining for a question. Instead of saying, "Why did this go wrong?" ask, "What is being strengthened in me right now?" That inner shift prepares the ground for the new on the outside. And now let me speak to you with tenderness. If you feel these words have been walking with you, strengthening you and guiding you through this process, stay with me. Subscribe so you can follow the next episodes. Not out of obligation, but so we can keep walking together step by step with peace and truth. I will not leave you halfway. I finish what I start. Love is the way, even when it passes through resistance before elevation. Peace be with you, son, daughter. I know this is where the heart becomes more tender, so I speak to you with even greater care. There is a deep sign that I am leading you into a next level. The pressure increases, but you are not destroyed. Pain comes, but you remain. Trials grow more intense, yet something inside you also grows stronger. This is not random. This is preparation. The Father does not allow greater pressure without releasing sufficient grace first. He never tests you to break you, but to strengthen you. As capacity grows, weight can increase, not to crush you, but to mature you. I know there are pains you cannot easily explain, situations that feel unfair, long processes that exhaust the soul, moments when you think, shouldn't this be lighter by now? But let me reveal something in love. Perseverance is not born in comfort. It is born in resistance. It was this way with Moses, who endured the pressure of leading an entire people while carrying his own limitations. It was this way with David, who endured years of pursuit even after being anointed. It was this way with Paul, who faced prisons, rejection, and physical pain without abandoning his calling. None of them were spared pressure, but all of them were sustained in it. When I wrote that testing produces perseverance, I was revealing a process. Perseverance produces maturity. Maturity produces stability. And stability supports great callings. The Father does not entrust great responsibility to those who quit easily. Maybe today you realize you are stronger than you used to be, even though you didn't plan it. You are carrying what once would have taken you out. You cry, but you keep going. You feel, but you don't stop. That is growth. That is grace working quietly. I also remind you, God is faithful. He does not allow testing beyond what you can bear. If you are bearing it, it is because capacity is being built in you. Even when it feels like too much, I am measuring it. I never lose control of the process. Do not compare your pain to someone else's. Every calling has a level of pressure. Every heart is shaped in a unique way. What matters is not the intensity of the pain, but what it is producing within you. Today, apply this simply. When pressure comes, don't ask only, "When will this end?" but "Who am I becoming while this is happening?" That question changes everything. It turns suffering into learning, pain into depth, process into purpose. I am not indifferent to your tears. I collect them, I understand them, and I tell you, none of them are wasted. The pain strengthening you today will become the foundation of the care you will offer others tomorrow. Remain, breathe, trust. Love is the way, even when it strengthens you through pressure. Peace be with you. Son, daughter, come closer. We've reached a point where the path doesn't get easier, it gets clearer. And clarity often requires courage. When the next level is near, something deep happens within you before anything visible changes around you. I begin to adjust your eyes. Vision changes before the scenery changes. You start to see life from a different place, with less reaction and more discernment. This is spiritual maturity. This is spiritual maturity. Before, many things wounded you easily. Now you learn to breathe before you respond. Before, your heart would churn at any opposition. Now it grows still and asks, "What is the Father doing here?" You didn't become indifferent. You became steady. You didn't lose sensitivity. You gained depth. I saw this in Caleb. Many looked at the land and saw giants. He looked at the same land and saw promise. Nothing changed externally, but everything changed internally. That's how the kingdom works. First, I transform your sight, then I transform your environment. When your vision changes, you stop wasting energy on constant complaining and begin investing strength in building. You stop living offended and start living in intercession. You understand that not every disagreement is an attack, not every silence is rejection, not every wait is a delay. This brings rest to the soul. But with this new vision comes something that requires even deeper surrender. Uncomfortable obedience. There comes a moment when I don't explain everything before I ask. I simply invite you to trust. I call you into actions that challenge natural logic, forgiving while the wound still feels tender, giving when the numbers don't add up, leaving when your heart wanted to stay, staying quiet when defending yourself seemed justified, speaking when fear suggested silence. This obedience isn't impulsive, it's intimate. You obey because you already know me, because you've seen my faithfulness before, because you've learned that trusting me is safer than trusting your own understanding. Noah built what no one understood. Abraham got up early and walked without detailed explanations. They didn't have every answer, but they had relationship. Mature obedience doesn't require visible guarantees. It stands on the certainty of who I am. I know obeying like this can make you tremble inside. It raises questions. It creates nights where you overthink. But it also produces freedom, because when you obey, The weight of the outcome no longer rests on you. You do your part. I do mine. And my part never fails. Maybe today you feel I'm calling you into decisions that won't make sense to everyone, but they make sense in the spirit. Don't be afraid. I never ask for something without being present in the process. If I call you, I sustain you. If I send you, I go with you. If I lead you, I care for the road. The next level is not the absence of challenges. It is the presence of trust. It is not the lack of fear. It is the choice of faithfulness in spite of it. It is learning to walk not by what you see, but by who knows me. I want to leave you something simple to live from here forward. When you're facing a hard decision, ask less. Is this comfortable? And more, is this faithful? Comfort passes. Faithfulness builds eternity. Faithfulness builds eternity. And now gently I offer one last act of love. If these words have strengthened you, brought you direction, and given you hope, like and share so other hearts can be reached too. Many are living this same process in silence, thinking they are lost when in truth they are being prepared. I was with you in every part of this walk. I will remain with you beyond it. Don't fear the new. Don't fear the discomfort. Don't fear obedience. Love is the way. It always has been. It always will be.